Welcome to Navigating the Jungle of Business, and today we'll be navigating the jungle of health. So today I'm excited to say I'm joined by a guest who's revolutionizing how we approach weight loss and well-being. He's the founder of Integrated Life, a unique 90-day program that combines the expertise of personal trainers, nutritionists, and weight loss psychotherapists for a truly comprehensive approach. And it's all done virtually. I love that. His program focuses on customization, mental wellness, and accountability to ensure long-term success. So welcome to you, Dr. Ladd Carlston, and I'm calling you Dr. Ladd.
That's great.
All right. I love it. So what makes Integrated Life different from other weight loss programs?
Really, it's the personalization of it. Other programs seem to just not be quite as customized and in depth to the person. And you might answer a dozen questions or so that might peg your body type or metabolic type, and then you get a template workout or template meal plan, but it just really isn't as customized as it should be for optimal results. So I think what sets it apart is that, along with the integrated nature of it, having a personal trainer, a nutritionist, not even just a therapist, but a weight loss psychotherapist to just hit it from all sides. So that's really what makes it truly unique.
And I know that everybody's different because, for example, when I go out with one of my friends, she tells me that, she can eat like this much and she gains weight, whereas I can eat like a truck driver. Of course, yes. I walk 40 miles a week. That might have something to do with it, but there's a big difference. You can observe that just when you go out with your friends.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So how does the mental aspect, this really intrigues me, of weight loss factor into your coaching program?
So it's actually a really important piece, turns out. And beyond just, the example you gave is a great one of, wow, I can just eat like a bird and gain weight. And this person eat like a truck driver. That's great. What's the difference? Hormones really are a big difference in that, where hormones make you gain water weight or things like that. There's some complex things that hormones do to do that. But so that needs to be addressed. But the mental side of things is so critical because our relationship with food is very complex and very individual. So what one person's relationship with food that was influenced by them, maybe their dad took them out for ice cream when they were little and they just have this warm, association with ice cream or sweets, or that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. You can't just use willpower long term, at least, to overcome something like that. That you need to kind of work through that and shift that relationship with food. Ice cream would be that just a silly example, but also just our relationship with exercise or movement or that mental side of things, that specific slice of. So this isn't just traditional psychotherapy. It's that therapy specific to those pieces of our wellness journey, our relationship with food and our environment and just exercise and movement. If you shift that, then it can become a long-term change instead of just something that you did for a couple months. Yeah.
And it is so hard because you talked about ice cream. Well, I live across the street, like half a block away from Ben and Jerry's.
Oh dear.
And my weakness is Cherry Garcia.
Yeah.
And so I actually had to cut out sugar. Do you know that was the one thing that actually made me lose weight, was just cutting out sugar? Because when you start looking at everything that has sugar in it, those are all the things that make you gain weight and change your metabolism and all that stuff. But what's funny is my parents used to treat ice cream as a treat. I remember once I had a car accident and my ex-husband picked me up from sitting on the curb. And you know what he said? Would you like to go for ice cream? So it wasn't just, everybody knew that was my my
Yeah.
warm blanket, if you like.
Yes. For so many people, and it's similar for so many people, I think. Yes, that's such a great example. But
Yeah, so ice cream is a perfect example. So if someone enters one of your programs, what can they expect to happen in 90 days?
so I love that question because it's like, well, just 90 days. Well, if you really consider what the program is doing in installing these long-term changes in who you are and how you interact with food. Once that, it's not 21 days to make a habit anymore. You got to take at least 3 months to just install these ways of being and eating or moving. And once that's done, and some people continue on in some way or another if they feel like they need extra help. But once those 90 days are done, like, you're just that way, and you continue to be that way and eat the exact foods that you know are good for you, because we help you identify what your foods are that help your body and balance your hormones. Once you know that, you know exactly what to eat, and you have options for what to eat in different situations. That's just how you are, and you just continue like that. You don't need us to continue to hold your hand because you've got it, kind of thing. And we make sure we hold your hand a lot during those 90 days. It's not just a group call or, once a month, one-on-one. There's intensive support and accountability and follow-up, email or text support even, and just to make sure that those changes that need to be changed they're there. And you're, by the end of the 90 days, you're just a different person.
You know what? I thought that by eating one of those bars that are just 100 calories, that I would solve the ice cream addiction, but that didn't work. So you know what? Dr. Cameron, the fellow that I sent you to look at his website, he suggested cheese, but not American cheese. He said there's so many different bad things in American cheese. So I get cheese from Holland, cheese from France. And you know what? That satisfies that nighttime. I want a snack and I want ice cream. And the other thing I started eating was popcorn.
Yep.
That much better than sugar.
Buttery, yes. Yeah, it satisfies all those. Yeah.
And so, as you said, as soon as somebody tells you this is what you should try instead, try it for a week. Yeah. After you've tried popcorn for a week, it's easy to eat popcorn instead of ice cream. Coming from an old ice cream eater. Because I'm not 20 anymore, right?
Yes, well.
Oh, well, it's okay.
Yeah.
So how does accountability is so important in everything I do? How does it play a role in your program?
So accountability can mean different things to different people, and it can be more hard line for some people or different people. It can be in this scale of, let's say, just gentle reminders, or it can go all the way to really kind of, making you uncomfortable and holding you accountable. We want somewhere in the middle, just enough to kind of push you, but not anything that's drastic. Because if it's too drastic or difficult, you're not going to continue to do that. And so we find that we don't actually need to use a lot of accountability, because those steps are they're just baby steps. And so incorporating them in your life becomes a little easier than something drastic that you need a lot of attention or accountability to make sure you change that one thing. Because we just do it in these baby steps along the way, it's easier to do. And so the accountability comes in the form of, well, I know I'm meeting with them next week, or there's email or text support for questions or things like that. So sometimes we have to just really customize that accountability for the person. And that's what's great about it, because it's so customized.
I love that. So obviously you don't do all this yourself. You have a team. So how do you train the personal trainers, the nutritionists, the psychotherapists? How do you do that?
So a lot of it is choosing the right person to begin with.
Right.
Really, part of the reason why this became virtual is because I didn't want to be limited by geography to the expertise that I was able to draw on.
Right.
I want to, pull from, I'm in Kansas City, but I want to pull from both coasts, right? So have just people that are doing great things where they are, that are able to work virtually, which is important to find somebody who is able to work virtually well, right. Particularly a personal trainer. How do you work out virtually, or have a personal trainer be able to see your form or how your body moves or assess that virtually, that's important for a trainer to be able to do that. But also, just being virtual allows it to be more convenient for the person's lifestyle. But picking the right person was critical, and then training them in being integrative. They need to be able to talk with each other and formulate this plan and process for each individual. That is part of the process that I've created as well, is just being able to work together, because a lot of these practitioners are used to working alone, and some of them are integrative, but not to the level that I wanted it to be. This needed to be very high touch, and just to be able to, again, have access to these experts with via text or email is important. So the training really, if you find the right person, is minimal. And I'm able to let them work their magic in the way they've always worked their magic, but in this framework of being integrative.
You know what I think is wonderful? The pandemic actually did help a lot of businesses. And so before the pandemic, people, even in 2013, I tried to create virtual peer groups, and everybody thought it was a brilliant idea, but no one would turn on their cameras. And then in the beginning of the pandemic, no one wanted to turn on their cameras until we realized we had to, right? So perfect timing for this, integrated approach across the country and with your team members. It served you well, right?
It did, just in time. Yeah.
Just in time. So I'm sure there's pitfalls though, right? So what are the pitfalls that people face when they try to lose weight?
So the design of the process, and because partly when I created it, I wanted to avoid those pitfalls and create the program in such a way that minimized those pitfalls. Again, having text or email support through the process is really important. And when I onboard somebody, they get my personal cell phone number, because we work with only a certain amount of people, on a monthly basis. And this is my passion and what I'm willing to do. It's those pitfalls can be avoided proactively if we keep in touch with the person, and the closer we keep on tabs with them, the more support they get from the nutritionist, from the trainer. There aren't very many pitfalls, and you catch a person at the beginning of a pitfall before it becomes a pitfall, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. Well, with constant contact, as soon as they feel like they're falling off, they know somebody's there to catch them, right?
Yes. And so in answer to your question, I mean, one example of a pitfall would be, typically the pitfalls are environmental, like they have a spouse that's doing something different, or kids, or just they have that environmental challenge where they're trying to do one thing, but what's happening around them is different. And so how to navigate that is critical, but again, can be avoided by proactively setting some things up to navigate that.
Well, it's like when you're invited to a kid's birthday party and that piece of cake looks really, really good, and there's ice cream on top, and never mind all the chocolate over there. And then there's Halloween, where you know that you're going to tax your kids and take half their chocolate, right? Teaching them about the IRS with.
Of course. Yeah.
That was my method anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the first step someone should take if they're interested in the integrated life program?
So the first step is really just having a conversation. And that I actually take those for now. I will soon I'm training somebody else to kind of help me with that because of how we're growing. But for now, they talk to me. We just have a conversation over Zoom or over the phone, just to make sure it's a right fit. The person really needs to have just tried a lot of things and realize that, that nothing's working. Like, I've tried these things, it doesn't work. Somebody needs to kind of have been there, done that, to understand how helpful this integrative approach can be. And so that it's just starting with a conversation to kind of see what the person's done and what they've tried and what they're struggling with, to help that person get an idea of who we've worked with and succeeded with. I want the person that works with us to know and have comfort in and confidence that we can help them. We've been there, done that. We've helped a person who has some autoimmune disease or Hashimoto's, or I've had my thyroid removed, or just all these different hormonal things or health challenges we've dealt with. They need to feel confident that we can handle that. And so just throughout the course of that conversation, if they feel comfortable with our expertise and with the approach that it's going to help them, then it's setting up times with the experts and getting going with the process.
So before we wind up, do you have any final words of wisdom to share?
So I think it's really what brought me to this process in the first place, which is, gosh, weight loss just seems impossible as it is. Then you add, menopause or other health challenges to the mix. What do? Well, you get all these different experts to rally around you with a really specific, custom tailored process to you. So you can just feel like, oh, I can do this. It's, of course, this is how I need to do it, because you know what works for your body. I think it's just considering things from an integrated standpoint and knowing just there's no magic workout that's going to do it, or no magic diet. You have to consider it from all perspectives, and even take into consideration your mindset and your stress level. So a lot of things, we deal with a lot of people with a lot of stress, and so helping them navigate that stress differently is really central to the process. So I guess I'd leave everybody with that. Consider your health from a integrated standpoint and all different facets of it, instead of just siloing in on one aspect and thinking that's going to be the thing that moves the needle.
Right. So how do people find you, Dr. Ladd?
So just, I guess, through my website, drladd.com. It's drladd.com. And it, has a picture of me and some words there and a link to, with some questions there that then takes them to scheduling a call with me, if that's what's
I sure hope they do that. I love talking to you. And I am Dr. Fumi Rachel Barr, and this is Navigating the Jungle of Business. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next